Hello, everyone. Today we are going to tell the story of Uncle Sam. This isn't Uncle Sam like you might be familiar with like Uncle Sam, the symbol of America. This is a different Sam, and we're calling him Uncle Sam because it's someone who you actually may recognize. You might know who this person is, and we're going to tell his story. And our story begins in the year of 1918. This is when our Sam was born. But setting the stage, 1918 was a turbulent time in America. It's only been 15 years since the Wright brothers flew their first airplane at Kitty Hawk. World War One is raging in Europe. It's going to draw to a close this same year. And in the United States, it's a place of hope and hardship. The Spanish flu is sweeping the globe, affecting millions, and families face all this uncertainty. But amid all of these challenging times, there is a spirit of resilience and determination in America. America in 1918 is a nation of small towns and close knit communities. This whole idea of being connected all the time via the internet and via our cell phones and computers, that doesn't exist. In fact, that highway system we know today doesn't even exist. So people sort of grow up and live in the same place, and there's not this idea of connection. It's a there's many small towns and close-knit communities. People rely on their neighbors, and local businesses are the heart of the community. There's no big box stores, and of course, there's no online shopping. Instead, we have these small general stores where people will go in, and the people who work there will serve them whatever they need. The customers don't actually collect the things, but the people working there will bring them up and tally them up for them. So imagine walking into one of these stores. The wooden floors are going to creak under your feet, and the bell above the door jingles as you enter. The shelves are lined with goods, and the storekeeper will probably know you by name. They might even be your neighbor. This is the world that Uncle Sam is born in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, March 29th, 1918. Sam's early life was shaped by the values of hard work and community spirit. His family moves around frequently. His father is a farm mortgage appraiser, and he's a farm mortgage appraiser during a really difficult time, the Great Depression. His father would take him along to calls on farmers who couldn't pay their bills, and that was a formidable experience for Sam as he learned how his father had to deal with difficult situations and deliver tough news. In 1918 and the 1920s, the American dream was alive, but people were having a difficult time. It was a tough place to live. It wasn't like we have now with all of the modern conveniences, but it's a place of hard work and family and community. It's a place where you can't get everything that you want, but you might be able to get the things that you need. It's a place where people will spend their livelihoods farming and living off the land. Our next stop on Sam's journey is 1936. This is when Sam begins his college career at the University of Missouri, where he studied economics. Sam was an ambitious student, participated in extracurricular activities, including the ROTC program. His college years were a time of growth and learning, shaping his future business acumen and leadership skills. But the backdrop at the time was trouble. In 1939, Hitler invaded Poland. Just a year later, when Sam graduates college, he'll become a management trainee at J.C. Penney's. Sam was eager to learn everything he could about his retail experience, and at the time, he earned about $75 a month, which in 2024 dollars is about 1,450 some dollars a month. So certainly not very much. $75 isn't a lot now, and it wasn't a lot then, but it was a good experience for Sam. He was known for his meticulous attention to detail. One day, a customer came in to return a pair of shoes that had clearly been worn. The store policy was to only accept unworn items for return. But instead of arguing, our Uncle Sam politely listened to the customer's story. He realized that making the customer happy was more valuable in the long run, so he accepted the return and offered it in exchange. This small act of kindness struck him, reinforcing the idea that customer satisfaction was very important. In 1941, the United States enters World War II, and Sam resigns from J.C. Penney, expecting to enter the war. But due to a heart issue, he has to serve the country as an Army captain in the Intelligence Corps. He's stationed at various military bases around the country, and he applies his analytical skills from college to aid the war effort. In 1943, Sam meets the love of his life, Helen, and the two of them get married. This was a bit of a sliding door moment for Sam. Helen and her family really influenced Sam in a couple of ways. Helen's father is a successful business person, and he tells Sam that he only enters family partnerships. And Helen is very influenced by small town living. This picture here is just an image from an artificial intelligence generation, and it shows the two walking down a main street. But we know that Helen would never have wanted to live in a busy main street. She never wanted to live in a big town, and that will be important later. While Uncle Sam was in the military, he spent his time visiting different libraries where he devoured books on retail and business strategy. He was particularly interested in innovations that could make stores more efficient and customer friendly. The last place that Sam and Helen were stationed during his military career was in Salt Lake City. And there, Sam spent all of his off-duty time studying at ZCMI, which is Zion's Cooperative Mercantile Institution. And it was a big American department store chain based in Utah. And Sam would go there and just try to figure out how different aspects of business worked. After the war, Sam and a friend wanted to open a big time department store, a Butler Brothers, which was a very fancy and well-known department store in America in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. But remember Helen's influence? Helen didn't want to live in a big city. She wanted to live in a small town. She said, Sam, you were raised in a small town. I was raised in a small town, and we should raise our kids in a small town. So instead of the opportunity in St. Louis, Missouri, Sam reaches out to Butler Brothers, and they own another store that Sam could work at. It's a variety store, and it's called Ben Franklin. And they said, Sam, we have a good opportunity for you. Well, we'll see how good that opportunity was. Sam would go on to open this store in a small town. The backdrop for this was 1945. On 1945, the world celebrated VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, marking the end of World War II in Europe. For many Americans, including our Uncle Sam, this was a great time of relief and optimism. The end of the war meant soldiers could return home, and this had a major impact. Sam and his wife, Helen, would open a store at one of the best times in America to open a store. So in September 1945, Uncle Sam, with a $20,000 loan from his father-in-law and $5,000 of his own savings, opened up his Ben Franklin store in Newport, Arkansas. This was a big risk, but Sam was eager to put his ideas into practice. And so at the time, all of these American soldiers are coming home. There's a different spirit in the air. People are more hopeful. People are more optimistic. And Sam doesn't open a store in a big town. There's only about 7,000 people living there. And actually, that gets a little worse. Sam would go on to say that he was a sucker that the Butler Brothers corporate office sent to this store, because this store, there's only 7,000 people in this town, and he's not the only variety store. The prior year sales were only $72,000 for the store. Sam had to pay 5% of his total sales in rent. Plus, there was a store selling much of the same things right across the street. And Sam wanted to be the best. He wanted to dominate. He wanted to be the most popular store in the state. So he goes on to say later in his life, it was a real blessing for me to be so green and ignorant, because it was from that experience that I learned a lesson which has stuck with me through all the years. You can learn from everybody. And this is what Sam does. He would go across the street to another store and he would see what they were doing. He was the first one to pioneer the idea of loss leaders in American retail shopping. The idea that stores can sell some things for low, below, or at their cost to purchase for the store, and the idea of bringing customers in so those customers will buy those things. And this was at odds with Sam's agreement with Butler Brothers. He was supposed to just buy things from them, and he was just supposed to sell things for what Butler Brothers said. And Sam said, at the beginning, I went along and ran my store by their book because I didn't really know any better. But it didn't take me long to start experimenting. That's just the way I am and always have been. So Sam was never content to simply follow the rules. He always wanted a better way to do things. He's always curious. He's always looking around. He's always asking questions. He's always doing the scientific method. Let's hop in a time machine real quick to 2024. One of this summer stories from 2024 was that Red Lobster, the restaurant chain, entered bankruptcy. And one story from the Wall Street Journal was that Red Lobster gets stung by endless shrimp. And so, what Red Lobster had been doing was buying a lot of shrimp from a single supplier. So, even though Red Lobster wasn't profitable and Red Lobster's economics and financials were hurting, they were still paying a lot of money to the shrimp supply company. So, this made the business for the shrimp supply company very good at the cost and the expense of the business of Red Lobster. And in some ways, this is kind of the situation Sam found himself in many, many years ago. The Butler brothers were bringing in a lot of money, and the businesses that were paying the cost of that because they had to buy and they had to sell according to the Butler brothers rules was Uncle Sam. So in the 1940s and 1950s, and this would go on for Sam's whole life, he starts going around them. Butler Brothers told Sam that he had to have a 25% markup on all of the goods sold. So Sam starts driving around and finding other suppliers. He knocks on doors and asks people if they'll do side deals with him, and clandestinely gets new merchandise and sells new merchandise. And the suppliers give him a deal directly. So rather than going through Butler Brothers, the corporate, the larger office, Sam is working directly with his suppliers. And this is like a new concept. This is something nobody had done before. What we're going to see about Uncle Sam is he doesn't invent many things. I don't know that he invents anything, but he popularizes so many different retailing things that people appreciate it and people go to his stores. So he goes directly to his suppliers. He finds loss leaders like the buy one, get one. So Sam has kind of figured out how to make things work. After 5 years, his store that was doing $72,000 is now doing $250,000 a year. He's tripled his revenue, and he has the best performing Ben Franklin franchise in the country. Things are going great, except for one thing. He loses that store. Sam would write later on, I've never been one to dwell on reverses, and I didn't do so then. It's not just a corny saying that you can make a positive out of most any negative if you work at it hard enough. I've always thought of problems as challenges, and this one wasn't any different. His landlord saw how well the store was doing and told Sam he wasn't renewing his lease and he was taking that franchise and that store for his own son. But things were not terrible for Sam. For one, he's at a great time. That peak in the middle of that graph shows the baby boom. Those are births uh, per 1,000 people. And so we can see a large spike at the end of World War II. The babies born each year grows by between 20 to 25% compared to pre-war lows. People are driving around on the new American interstate system. This cloverleaf right here is one from Denver, Colorado. And so America is becoming more mobile. America is expanding. Opportunities are presenting themselves. And so Sam and his wife, Helen, moved to Bentonville, Arkansas. And they are going to open a store in a town about half the size of the last town they lived in, Newport. And Sam will open another Ben Franklin franchise. But what he's going to do is something a little different. He's going to open a Ben Franklin franchise, but he's going to call it Walton's Five and Dime. And one thing that the store will do differently is it's going to be a self-service store. Customers are going to come in and they're going to collect the goods themselves rather than be waiting on. Sam is going to have all kinds of promotions. In the third store he opened, he bought so many watermelons, and it was so hot that the watermelons started leaking their juice, and the watermelon juice was running back into the store, back on the sidewalk, back into the parking lot. It was a mess. But it was the way that Sam did business. He was always experimenting and trying new things. The first Walmart that Sam opened wasn't very nice, but it had good customers. And Sam was always testing things. He was changing how much he marked goods up. For example, Sam tried 25% instead of the traditional 45% for suppliers. It was a constant evolution. Uncle Sam continued to go to other stores and jot things down. Some people joked that his yellow legal pad was an appendage to his body. It went with him everywhere. Later on, he switched to a tape recorder and dictated notes. Once he was in a Costco and he got asked to leave. Sam would later say in his life that he had probably been in more Kmart stores, ask your parents what that is, than anyone else in the entire world. When Sam opened store 3, he had to use a tackle box as a cash register. Store number 6 was on the same street that his original store was on, that he lost to the landlord's son, and he would run them out of business. When asked later if Sam was the one responsible for that store going out of business, Sam would say, "No, it was the customers who did that." So, how did Sam become so successful? How would a guy from Bentonville, Arkansas, with no money, become more successful than Sears and Roebuck and Kmart? And what he did was he just did everything better. He copied all of the best things, all of the smart things, and he did it with more fanaticism and better employee engagement and use than anyone else. Sam would later write this. I can tell you this, though. After a lifetime of swimming upstream, I am convinced that one of the real secrets to Walmart's phenomenal success has been the very tendency to be small, experimental, cross geographical boundaries, and discount everything. Many of our best opportunities were created out of necessity. The thing that we were forced to learn and do because we started out underfinanced and undercapitalized in these remote, small communities contributed mightily to the way we've grown as a company. So Sam would find things that would work and he would copy it from one setting to the next, to the next, to the next. Throughout his remarkable career, Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, embodied the true spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation. From his humble beginnings with Ben Franklin franchises to the founding of Walmart, he revolutionized the retail industry and left a huge mark on American business. I couldn't stand to leave a new customer waiting while I fiddled with paperwork on a sale I had already made, Walton wrote. This dedication to putting the customer first became a cornerstone of his success. And later on, when Sam was profiled after much financial success, he said, "Why do I drive a pickup truck? What am I supposed to do? Haul my dogs around in a Rolls Royce?" Sam was practical, he was down to earth, and He did this despite achieving immense financial success. Sam understood that the secret to successful retailing lies in meeting customers' needs. You have to give your customers what they want, Sam wrote. A wide assortment of good quality merchandise, the lowest prices possible, guaranteed satisfaction with what you buy, friendly, knowledgeable service, convenient hours, ample parking, and a pleasant shopping experience. His vision for Walmart was built on these principles. He aimed to offer customers not just products, but an unparalleled shopping experience that combined value, convenience, and exceptional service. Sam's insistence on innovation, operational efficiency, and continuous learning propelled Walmart from a single store in Arkansas to a global giant. So, let's remember Sam's words and principles, whether in business or in life. We can be frugal, we can be creative, we can be curious, we can ask questions, we can put our ego aside and do the things that other people have found that work. We can persevere through difficult times. We can serve others, and we can have a great day.